Welcome to LaQuita's Toolbox, where we deliver relevant content in the form of tools that empower entrepreneurs to elevate personally and professionally. Good is only good until greater is envisioned. You know there's another level in you. Here we discuss the tools to get you there. Lean in as LaQuita and her guests present you with strategies and insight for unlocking your full potential to realize your boldest dream.
Welcome back to another great episode of LaQuita's Toolbox. I am your host, LaQuita Monley, and you guys know I'm always super excited to be in the Toolbox community, and that's no different. Today, I am excited to be here. I have a wonderful guest with me, Miss Tiffany Lindley on Epiphany Lane, and she's coming to drop some amazing tools in our lap today. So you guys know the rules. Get something to write with and to get something to write on, because pencil and paper, don't forget, and you want to make sure that you lock in on these tools, because they are definitely going to be, you'll be able to use them in your personal growth and development, as well as your entrepreneurial growth and development. But before we get into our conversation with Tiffany, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors of today's episode, Covenant Press. Covenant Press is a faith-based Christian apparel and accessory shop that is online, where we as believers are able to shop for clothing and accessories that help us promote the love of Jesus Christ. If you want to know more about Covenant Press and the wonderful things that they offer, go out to their website at www.covenant-press.com. Again, that's www.covenant-press.com. Now, when you get there, don't click off the pop-ups too fast, because daily they're offering specials, and you need to get that promo code out of that pop-up. Put that promo code in at the checkout to receive some amazing discounts and benefits from your shopping experience there at www.covenant-press.com. Listen, Tiffany,
yes.
I'm excited to have you here today. First of all, let me tell you, I love the name of your company.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so catchy. That is just amazing. On Epiphany Lane, like, that's where I want to live.
Right.
Right. Like,
and there are actually streets called Epiphany Lane. I'm like, I don't want to live there, but like, I like the name of your street. Like, I might get my street renamed so I can live on Epiphany Lane for real.
For real, yes. Because, you know, there's nothing better than having an epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
It can set you free. It can make you a lot of money too. But, you know,
trying to.
Hey, listen, having a great epiphany is amazing. It should be transformational in some way in your life. So let's talk about it for a little bit. But for those that are listening that may not know who you are, let's take a moment. Please introduce yourself to the Toolbox audience. Let us know who you are and what you do.
All right. My name is Tiffany Lindley. I'm a licensed professional counselor based in Dallas, Texas. I have a private therapy practice called Epiphany Lane Counseling. And I'm also a coaching consultant with On Epiphany Lane. It's a mental health agency. We do training, we do presentations, and also coaching courses. So I grew up here in Dallas, Texas, been educated in Houston and New York, and just love mental health and love being an advocate for it. But my whole purpose is to help people find their purpose and find their path to power, peace, and joy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because when you find your purpose, man, for me, let me say, when I understood who I was for the first time, like I had that whole, let me just find myself moment, right? I had that moment and I discovered who I am and what my purpose was. I have never been the same. And that's a good thing. Like, that's been like one of the, if I can say, memorial stones in my life. Mm-hmm. That is definitely a memorial stone in my life. And, you know, why would you encourage people to even begin that journey? For the listeners who are, because a lot of our listeners are in that transition place where they're trying to figure out what's next, or, you know, they're empty nesters, or they want to shift careers and they're not quite sure, you know, where to find themselves. Why would you encourage them to even begin the journey?
Well, you know, a lot of times we just kind of live life and we kind of just go on the path that's been set before us, what everybody told us we're supposed to do. And we look up and we're like, what was my life really for? Maybe we've raised families, maybe we've been married, maybe we've, done things, but making it all connect and all mean something. That is one of the great purposes of life, and why we have choice and why we have the minds that we have, is to make meaning of it. And so, making sure that you are working towards purpose is a way for life to really mean a lot more. And living a valued life, protects you from all of the negative things that happen. Yes, they might happen. Mm-hmm. Yes, you might still experience them, but how you handle them is going to change, because this is just a setback, that can lead you to another setup, right?
Yes.
The next part of your journey. We have these tests, we have these encounters in our life, and they all, make sense when you have purpose. When you don't have purpose, it feels disconnected, it feels disjointed, no control. And making sure that you're connecting everything and using everything just makes life more fulfilling, and makes the legacy you leave behind people can give to other people, versus just being like, oh, I lived and I died and that's it.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I know you're really, really passionate about that. And you have a great new course coming up called Pathway to Purpose. Talk to us about Pathway to Purpose. I mean, just the name of it.
So this has been one of those ideas that just kind of, gets in the crack of your mind and won't go away.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of high achieving people in my therapy practice. And a lot of times, once we get through the muck and the deeper, darker stuff and the trauma, you're living life in a survival mode. And when you're lifted out of that, it's like, okay, now what? Life is not about survival, it's about thriving. And how do we believe that we thrive? We live in our purpose. And so there's a path there, going from that dark place, what's happening in the middle before we're like living this purposeful, valued life. And so I wanted to simplify it to the smallest denominator I could, to at least get people to like get started on that path. And so I've, created this 90-day class, and I'm just giving people 90 days to do it. They can do it as quickly as they want, but I want to have that time frame so that they're intentional and purposeful with the actual work, versus like, oh, I bought this class and it's just sitting there waiting for me to finish for a year. No, if you're really serious about starting that pathway, you got to do the work. And so I've kind of broken it down into 5 areas where we're looking at our strengths, looking at our personal values, really going deep on self-worth and self-esteem, and really understanding those concepts and how we can improve that and have the tools to kind of maintain that. And then there's another process I do called the Ikigai. It comes from the Japanese word, which means reason for being. And so now we're getting into more practical ways of our purpose. What can I do? What's my mission? What's my passion? And like, what are some ways I can be paid for that? Because to stay in a survival mode, we got to survive, right? So I need to make money in a way, and find ways that my purpose can, monetarily feed me so that I can continue to grow. Because a lot of times what people do is that they work and then they do their purpose on the side.
Yes.
And helping people transition to a life where the work and the purpose kind of align, so that the job doesn't become the thing. The purpose is connected to all of it. So how to find jobs and find work and find different opportunities that still align, so that you're not so tied to that job, that your identity is not tied up in that job, and you can have a career that aligns with your purpose. And then we'll do like a vision board, and kind of going through that vision boarding process, mapping the vision. And then there's another process I take people through where we're looking at the whole, all the things that kind of make up your life right now, and kind of, starting giving you this, in the model they have, you are here, kind of creating that map. You are here right now. These are the things that are stressing you out. These are the people that are in your life, and really being able to see like, this is what I have, and building gratitude from that, and also building, okay, what do I actually need to go do on me right now before I can even get on the path and get in my boat and start traveling towards my purpose. And then after that, we start doing that vision and mission statement, and being able to kind of write out, what is my vision for my life, and what is the mission of my life, and at that, you'll see the purposes in your purpose. It's not just one thing or
Yeah.
affirming purpose. It's like I said, my purpose specifically is helping other people get to their purpose. So what does that look like? That looks like my therapist career. That looks like me, gaining more certification, more expertise in the mental health, being an advocate for mental health, making it safe for people to go and get mental health. I can't help anybody get to their purpose if they don't feel safe talking about their trauma and their bad stuff in their life,
yes.
right? So yeah, my purpose is this one thing, but there's all these other threads that come out of that. And so helping people kind of see the threads that are trying to connect for them to feel this purposefulness is kind of the goal of the course. Now, you may not know exactly what your one life purpose is because you don't have just one. And being able to kind of sit with that and not limit yourself so much. And then hopefully, people will have action steps to, move forward and use this information, this self-knowledge. The sky's the limit once you get there.
Once you get that, that is amazing. Like you said, so many things right there, guys. I hope y'all will write that down. But you know what? Don't worry.
That's just the course curriculum. Like that's just
right. Listen, you're gonna connect with Tiffany, and she's definitely gonna walk you through those steps. And you're saying like LaQuita, but I need to process that before I connect. This is a podcast. Hit rewind, listen to it again, take some notes. So, take some copious notes. So then when you reach out to Tiffany and connect with her, you can have some really great questions.
Yeah.
And then, what you guys, the work that you'll be able to do will be even more productive. So hit that rewind. Make sure you take some good notes. Hit the subscribe button if this is your first time on the podcast. Do that first. Hit the subscribe button. Like it, follow it, share it with others. Leave me a great comment. You can even leave me a not so great comment because I need that feedback too.
Constructive criticism,
Yes, absolutely. Because I know a sister needs to improve in some areas, but I won't know what those areas are if you don't tell me. So do that too. But look, what the stuff that you just said there was like, it just made me smile because it just talked to me about, in so many different areas of my life. In my life's journey, where I've come from, where I am now, and the fact that I know I still have a lot of work that needs to be done in order for me to achieve the next set of goals at the next level of, success that I want to have. And I recently wrote a book, and the book is called Redefining Success, 8 Tools That I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset. And the book is really special to me. Of course, I think it should be a New York Times bestseller because I wrote it. But, that's another story for another day.
That's your mind, your brain, baby. You got to.
It's precious to me, right? Mm-hmm. But the what you said that resonates with the book is what I've discovered so far in my life journey is everything that I do hinges on my identity. And that's really what one of the points that I heard you really talk about there and why a person wants to tap into this course. Like this course is not a course just for someone who's struggling, but even if you're saying, okay, I know where I am, there's always room for growth. Success is this thing that it grows as you grow. Mm-hmm. And what is the next great and wonderful thing that you want to do that you're trying to accomplish?
Right.
What we're going to do depends on our identity. Do we know it? Do we understand our purpose? And when you were saying that, we have multiple purposes, that right there, if we were at church, I'd run up and put some money in your hand. Like, come on, sis, say that. It's so wonderful. It's like, there's sometimes, clients, even in conversation, people can get so married to one thing dogmatically that their hand is so closed that they can't receive the rest of the blessing because your hand is so closed around this one thing that you don't realize, like, hey, if you really knew who you were, you could see how all of these things align with your core values. All of these opportunities or doors that are trying to be open, they really align with you accomplishing that one thing you're trying to hold on so tight to.
That's only one part of the story. And you said something important too about your book, the growth mindset. That's in that self-worth work, right? Like, how do we stay out of a fixed place to where I can't change because this is who I am all the time? And really see all the again, all of these things that may seem unrelated as opportunities for us to see ourselves differently and to grow in our identity and deepen it versus feeling like we have to do everything and be everything. And, we have all this breadth, all this wide variety of things we can do, but like, how do we streamline it to make them all work together for a common purpose?
For a common purpose. That's really good. Like the streamlining part, because one of my struggles, and I can say that because I'm actively working on it. One of my struggles is as a visionary type person, I have like 1,000 things in my head at any given moment. Yeah. And with those 1,000 things in my head and doing the task that it takes to accomplish the goal, sometimes I get this overwhelming desire to try to do it all at once. Mm-hmm. Or I take on more than what I should. And when you said streamline, like, I hope that sets some people free. Yeah. Right there, because having 1,000 things is great and we're going to get them done, but streamline the process, make it to where it is actionable and sustainable for you to do, so that you don't fall into the trap of, this is my personal belief system. I think massive action is a ugly trap. Because for me, like, I don't know about anybody else, but when we take these massive actions or we're trying to do these big things and we can no longer sustain it and do it, what it does to you emotionally when you're trying to get back into the restart, it's like it wastes so much time and so much energy.
There's a grief. There's a loss of, like you said, time, energy, but also seeing things as seasonal. Because when I talk about streamlining, I'm saying that, making sure that you're not having to step too far away from some of those central things about you. Yeah. Like being a visionary, it just means you have seeds to plant, right? You have people to pour into so that they can execute some of the visions you have, and being able to keep the wind in their sails, if you will, is one of the gifts of a visionary leader, right? Versus the leader that is kind of the grind, nose to the grindstone. I got to do every single step myself. And sometimes it's like that. That's how scientists and inventors work. They have to be involved in every single thing. But a visionary, I see the field. I just, y'all planted in these rows, and I trust y'all to do that. And good job. Look how y'all doing it. Look at those beautiful rows. Look at these beautiful plants. Like you're pouring into them, with some of that encouragement and that compassion. And like even something like that. So, leadership is another one of those purposes that is a thread, right? It's a web. It's so many different things, ways it can go. But knowing that, okay, if I have leadership gifts, then my purpose is about leading people, but then where? Yeah. Then you get more. That's what I mean by streamlining, right? I got the role, maybe I got the actions. Now I need the locations. I need the destinations of where my purpose can take me.
Where your purpose is. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, guys, did you take away something from that? I know you had to take away something from that. I tell you what, hit the rewind button. When you get some powerful stuff like that, you got to chew on it. You got to marinate on it. You can't just listen to that one time. This is the type of information you need to listen to at least 5 times. You need to hear it at least 5 times, digest it, process it, and take copious notes every single time and add to the notes that you have, because Tiffany is dropping some amazing tools today on the Toolbox. We're talking about her wonderful course, Pathway to Purpose, and why we need to understand our purpose and knowing that it's not just one single purpose. We have multiple things that we are divinely designed to do, but we can't get, we can't get started on them until we first get started on us.
Yeah, like how you said that. Yeah. Gotta understand yourself, because you're gonna you can lose yourself in many, many, many things, as you know.
Yes. You said something earlier at the beginning too that I really resonated with me. You talked about the identity piece, but you also talked about the necessity of not losing your identity in the thing that you do. And that's something that's really precious to me. And that in my work with military spouses, that's like topic number one. That's like the major thing with understanding your identity, understanding your voice, understanding your purpose, because we are more than our significant other's career. You know, we are more than being a mom or a dad to your children. Like, I'm not diminishing the role of mom and wife and any of that, because if you ask me, LaQuita, who are you? Per my previous life experience, I'm going to first say that I'm a wife, a mom, and a proud military spouse, because there was a time when I devalued those and thought they were insignificant. So now that I'm in a place where
value.
I value that. Like, yes, I speak, I coach, I do all those things, and that's great. But I got to let y'all know that that's a part of my identity. And because I know who I am now, I say that. Mm-hmm. But within our military community, it's so easy to get wrapped up in what I call a very toxic culture because of the rank system. It's a class system. So it breeds people not knowing who they are outside of their rank or outside of their volunteer position, whether you're in the uniform or out of the uniform. Because I remember working in a civilian capacity, and the fighting that takes place there, the negativity that takes place there was amazing.
Wow.
Because it's still a rank structure. So, are you a GS1, 5? Are you a GG 15, 14? Are you a wage grade this? What step are you in that system? Mm-hmm. And it's still a very, very much a class system. And if you're not a strong individual, if you're already wasn't sure of who you are, going into that, you will find yourself easily sucked into my value and my worth is based on the rank that I hold in this system. Yeah. So when you said that, it's like, oh, that would set a lot of people free right there. Like,
and when I think about, like, when you even talk about like the hierarchy in the military, like, we're supposed to have our own internal hierarchy, right? Your mm-hmm. personal faith, and God asks us, love Him as we love ourselves. Right. And so within that realm of loving ourselves, values are kind of the way we connect to our spiritual self too. What ideals about life do you see that it's important? And the thing about values is they change over time, but where we lose ourselves is that we are not aware of our values changing over time. We adopt other people's values versus being aware of, okay, how does their value line up with who I see myself as and who I believe myself to be based on what I believe in and based on who I believe myself to be. So maybe you do value respect, but what does that look like at 12 versus 25 versus 55? I might value family, well, even like you said, as a wife and mother. However, if my kids have all grown up, okay, I value y'all, but y'all might be number 5. Y'all might not be number 2 anymore. Like, exactly, because I'm responsible for me now. So being able to take that time, like a course like this will allow people that time to really. That's the first thing I do with all of my my clients too. Is within the first month we're going to talk about values. You're going to identify, like, right now, what do you value in life, and I can tell you the path you're on based on the values that you've chosen. And even telling you where the problems in your life are coming from out of, maybe your values are out of line for yourself. Not saying it's not based on Tiffany's opinion. It's what you told me you wanted to be, the goals you want to set. Okay, you want to, have more work-life balance, but work is, achievement is number 2. So, okay, how are we valuing achievement? Because it can still be number 2, but are you valuing just achievement in your workplace? Are you valuing achievement in your personal life? What does it look like? So the beauty of values is it gives you a structure, but it's so much flexibility, and it allows you to have that growth mindset. We can have the same values, but how we play them out is where we have responsibility. We can both value philanthropy or money, but maybe I value it as a thing to give away, whereas somebody values it as a thing to keep. But we still value money. It's just very different by person. And so being able to really unpack that and understand we have our own internal hierarchy, regardless of what's going on in the world. Yeah. If we're living within that, we're living with integrity. That brings us a lot of peace, which makes us have the energy we need to keep moving forward. If we're in turmoil constantly, it's going to feel like you're stuck, especially in a job that you're passionate about, but things are out of alignment with what you believe.
Right there, alignment. You keep dropping these, you keep dropping these bombs.
My name Tiffany means revelation, and means Tiffany. That's where it comes from.
You did like bloom, like you just gave us this amazing thing, and then you put a pen, you dropped a cherry on it with the alignment. Like,
I appreciate it, but yeah, that's where the name comes from. Is like, okay, I wanted something to represent who I see myself as, but also that where I want to go. Like if I'm on the lane, that means I haven't stopped moving.
Right.
My name means revelation, but revelations change day by day. So you have to continuously keep moving forward to see more of what life has to hold for you.
Come on now. I love that. It's a continual process. As long as I believe that as long as, the Lord blesses me to draw breath and I have that full activity of my mental faculties,
that's right.
Then I'm still growing. I still have a lot to learn. There's a lot of space for me to continue to be and do life.
Yeah. And that's exciting. And that's where joy comes from, I think, is that, there's more stuff. And I know we talked a little bit before our before we started today, and you were mentioning like, when people need to recognize the parts of their life where they may need more help, right? Like, seeing a coach or seeing a therapist, and like, what's the difference? And, number one, if you feel stuck, right? If you feel like you're not moving anymore, then it may be time to help, talk to someone else, kind of borrow someone's brain, as I say, to help you get unstuck, right? And then with stress is a neutral thing. Technically, we think of stress and it's automatically negative, but there's positive stress and there's negative stress. And it's really in how much pressure is happening, how long you're under stress. And if you've been under stress a long time, you feel overwhelmed and feel burnt out, it's time to get some help. You can do, a burnout prevention coach or something like that. But if it's something that's also bringing up things from the past, that, those childhood things or those early experiences as an adult that you really still haven't gotten over, then you probably need to talk to a therapist. But either support is going to help you manage stress in a healthy way, because, stress, is necessary. If we're not stressed, we're actually kind of bored, right? And so our comfort zone is like a little bit not stressed, but we're actually performing very at a high level, and we're engaged doing it. And so like staying in the zone, as they say, right? That takes work. So we have to be able to cope with things that are outside of that. And then self-care is where we kind of recharge ourselves and take that stress level back down, right? And being able to, manage our physical, mental, psychological, spiritual, all those needs that we have as human beings. So you can prevent a lot of mental illness just by managing stress alone, because that's what tells our body something's going on. And if we're constantly under that stress physically, then we need to, do something about it. So also physical, if your physical body is feeling, drained, or, you're not sleeping, you're not eating, like, okay, that's when you need to go to, more of a mental health professional, because they can help you regulate those natural things. And of course, go to a physical doctor too, because it could be something medical as well. So having a treatment team, if it is affecting your health, is definitely important. But if it is more of like, I see it coming, I see the stress about to overwhelm me, then a coach might be a great person, because they'll put you right on the plan, get it done. You like, look, this is going to be a long process. I got a lot of trauma. I got a lot of drama. Go to a therapist. Don't do your coach like that. Don't get them out. They ain't got time for that. They got things to do, right?
I'm so glad to hear you say that. So like, because I'm a transformational coach, and I know that depending upon, I was on a radio show last week, Friday. And, the topic was not just any coach. So depending upon where you got your coaching certification from, because the field is unregulated, right? So depending on where you got your training, or if you did not get training and you just feel like this is your life's work, I am a very big advocate of go somewhere and get some training, because of what you just said. There is I have had numerous individuals that wanted to be my client, that because of the training that I've received, I was able to recognize a few things, not just based on not just from the answers on their intake form, but also in our first initial conversations, like the red flags went up. And I was like, no, I love you.
Scope. Not in my scope. It's not.
Yes, it's so outside of my scope. So, so I'm really glad that you shared that, because again, because coaching is such an open field, and you could choose to not get training, you could choose to get training. And again, because it's an open field, even if we choose to get training, depending on if the place you got the training from was qualified to give it to you or not, you may or may not have understood
what the boundaries
were. Yes. So as a coach, like from you gave some really great insight from a client perspective, somebody that's, really self-aware, that makes that when they're trying to make the decision to choose to coach with a therapist. Well, what about for that coach who may not have had
that training? Yes.
How can they identify or some easy steps for them to identify, hey.
Okay, yeah. I mean, when you're dealing with a new client and they seem to be, they're hard to keep on track. They're, if you're not an ADHD coach, especially, you're not, but being able to keep them focused on their actual goal. Again, the beauty, I think, of coaching is how specialized it can be. For therapists, we can be very specialized, but we're expected to know how to do everything at the same time. And it's like, okay, we know what's outside of our scope and we have to refer. But like the general, anxiety, depression, if you don't treat those at all as a therapist, but again, those are clinical definitions that have diagnoses. Whereas you're coming in with coaches. Okay, I want an anxiety coach. It's like, okay, have you done any therapy? Do you think you're at a place where coaching is just the best thing because there's more of you keeping on a plan versus understanding why you have anxiety and understanding the physical part of it and understand, and if they can't tell you that, if they haven't done any of that other work and you're dealing with, like transformation, okay, this person has a history of trauma and you've never done therapy. Okay, you might need to be seeing a therapist as well. And I can help you with transforming all of these different areas of your life, in the present, but it just depends. So yeah, if you're not sure, if you're feeling like, okay, there's stuff that probably needs to be dealt with first, like, it's okay. Like, let that client go because you're opening up space for the people that are for you. Like, not being so, like you were saying earlier, like holding on to things so tightly that you can't let anything good in. And after a while, it becomes a relief, right? I know you believe in like, okay, good, because you know what? I can't. I'm not the one.
I'm not equipped for this.
Even if I don't have a space, I don't have a mental capacity. Take on this stuff because it's already hard enough work to keep those boundaries with the client. So especially as a coach, if you're feeling like you're taking a lot of the client's stuff on, you're carrying it with you. That's probably
that's a lot of negative energy, right? Like that's a lot of emotions that are coming at you really fast. And some of them are heavier, some of them real heavy. So, if you don't know what to do with it or how to process it, and that's like a gauge for me. And it really goes back to what you were saying, the importance of knowing yourself. I know me, and I know why I made the decision to become a coach and not to continue to pursue. There was a point in my life where I wanted to be a licensed clinical social worker.
Yeah.
But, after doing about 3 semesters worth of work toward that, and we're getting into the real nitty gritty, I was like, oh no, I ain't equipped for that. I go to jail. Like,
and being honest with yourself and remembering, like, even though feelings aren't facts, they are they're that tuning fork of like, okay, I got all these facts, I got all this evidence, I did the school, I'm in school, I'm doing good on my grades, but if my heart is telling me we want this. Sometimes you just gotta trust what your heart's saying, but don't do that without looking at the evidence, right?
Right. And that's where it was for me. Like a lot of the legalities of it, depending on where I was going, what I could and couldn't do, and Yeah, like no, but from my capacity, I mean, I'm still legally liable for some things, but I can say and do a whole lot more than someone else outside of my
lot
field
more
can
freedom.
say. Yeah, I've got more freedom to say, let me throw in all the red flags and call everybody to come because you need to go to jail or you need help.
Exactly. But then even again, that experience you've had gives you their respect for the boundary purpose. You see, it all ties together.
It all comes together. And it's like with a title like transformational coach or life coach, a lot of clients expect the same type of treatment that they would get from a therapist. And I think a lot of people lean towards the coaching because they feel that the price tag may be cheaper. Not in all instances.
Most of the time, no.
Yeah, I know some coaches that charge a whole lot more than anything I've ever paid to a therapist.
Right? Because we still have that medical professional thing kind of hanging over our heads too. Of like, okay, we kind of have to be ethical, and not saying that coaching, but hey, this is what you have way more access to your coach too.
Yes,
you got that hour, and if you're in a crisis, we're going to tell you to go call crisis. But if you're like, okay, I'm doing my goals, I'm doing this. Hey, I'm giving you updates in the middle of the week. Like there's a more familial relationship that you can have, and it not really cross too many boundaries because it even becomes like a mentoring type thing. Whereas that's not really appropriate for me and my clients. Yeah, they can look up to me on their own. We can discuss that as a concept, but like you try, besides what I self-disclose, you're not going to get that much information about me, the person. And it's, there's, everybody's got, one of my tagline for Epiphany Lane is living life in your lane. And I believe there's a lane for everyone and there's space for everyone. And it took me time to learn it. I'm going to be honest. Like I was like, man, wait a minute, man, I can charge all these student loans and all this debt I got. And this coach coming over here charging $4.50 an hour. And I was like, I could do that. But how would that make me feel as someone who came from working in community agencies and with homeless people and with domestic violence victims and people that couldn't afford the high quality care I gave them. And that gave me so much meaning and purpose. And I know, I'm not devaluing myself, but I want to find that sweet spot because that's what makes me feel like I'm in line with my, my values. Like, okay, yes, I know there are things I can charge more money for, and there's people that I can charge more money for, and I want to be more specific on that versus, you all got to get up to my level. Because there's some therapists that do that, and that's cool too. Like if that's in line with who you are, go ahead, babe. Because there's a client that needs that person in you, and so there's a lane for everybody. And feeling the peace, the power, and the joy of living in your lane is like that's what I'm all about. And so yeah, ma'am. Coaches, counselors, we all need something, okay? Because people need people, right?
Yes, we need one another. We definitely need one another, and we need each other to be able to show up at our best. And we can't show up if we don't know who we are. I mean, we might show up, but we'll show up in the wrong places, with the wrong information. So it's very important for us to show up understanding who we are, whose we are, and even with the title of your course, it's absolutely necessary for us to show up in the paths that lead us to our purpose, that we're actively functioning in a healthy way in our purpose. So I know we're coming to an end of the podcast. You know what? I have great guests such as yourself. The time passes by so
flying. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. A little bit, but I really enjoyed my time with you, Miss LaQuita. I mean, you get it, and I hope that your listeners really take a lot of the wisdom that you find for them, because wisdom is hard to find, right? It is knowledge that we really didn't earn sometimes. I like the unearned wisdom versus the earned wisdom because that takes less time, right? So get that unearned wisdom when you can.
And less money. Let's just talk about it. Right? Okay.
Wisdom, okay? And that is what I am trying to, put out into the universe put out into the world with my course is that, there's some ways for you to get there. Everybody wants the shortcut, but there's really no shortcut. It's just a detour, but it'll get you back to your path. It just may be a little harder.
Exactly. We have to be willing to do the work. I love that there is no shortcut.
Why you want to make a shortcut anyway? Life is long if you're lucky, so just live.
Like, I have some other coaches that I interview sometimes on their podcast, and those that know me, know that I have this thing about frameworks and the catchy phrases that are in my industry.
Yeah.
Like, if that person hasn't done the inner work, I'm not saying your system doesn't work, but if they have not done the hard work in themselves, the framework won't work because they won't understand how to work it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wasting their money and your time.
Yeah.
So, and that's really what you're saying. Like, there is no shortcut. We've got to do that inner work. And I like to say it like this. The same way we go to our general practice doctor, or for us as ladies, the way we go to our OBs, because we know we have that annual thing that needs to be done. Everybody wants the pretty white teeth, so you making sure you get your cleanings a couple of times a year. Mm-hmm. That's the way we should be working on ourselves.
Yep.
It should not be. That's a part of what I consider my self-care.
Yeah. Yeah. It needs to be a part of the way you nurture yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think we conflate self-care and pampering, and pampering is a type of self-care, but it is not self-care in itself.
No.
It is just one facet of it. And being able to really see, like, there's necessary self-care, like those medical appointments, that's not always fun.
No.
It's a need, though. I need to do this in order to keep living at the optimal level. If I don't do it, nobody says you have to want to do it, but you need to do it.
But you need to do it. I don't think I've ever met a lady that was just jumping and screaming and said, "Oh, it's for my annual."
No.
Like, I don't think I have never, my 45 plus years of living, ever heard.
They haven't made that trendy yet. I'm sorry.
No, that ain't trending. Like, generally when we're in conversation with each other, it's like, girl, they keep calling me and reminding me, and I know I gotta go. I just
can't keep avoiding it.
That's why they call us, because we're not gonna call them.
Exactly.
But that's the way we should be. Again, just my personal opinion. That's the way we should be about our emotional and mental and spiritual well-being, because it's very much part and parcel of who we are. And so if we're not taking care of this aspect of ourselves consistently, as you said, it can show up in our physical health.
Mm-hmm.
And it can begin to show up in other areas of our life, in our home, on our jobs. And even when we're trying to do the pampering part of that, if you haven't taken care of the inside stuff, you could be an unhappy individual laying on that massage table, at that spa, getting your nails done, getting your feet done, and still
being mean, being disrespectful.
Come on now. Yes. Yeah. And still have all of these negative things going on because we haven't addressed the hard, real work.
Exactly.
So we're going to have you back again for a part. Really are.
Well, yeah. So, like, again, this is pre-order, because we're going to start this in the new year, 2023.
Awesome.
Let 2022 do its thing, but it's a deep discount in the pre-order stage. So it's $49. That's it. $50. That's less than a full set and a pedicure.
Come on now.
Yourself
a whole lot less than a full set these days.
Yeah, and it's going to go up, to $149, because again, it is a self-contained 90-day course. And depending on how well it goes, I might, do something that's more live and more interactive. But I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to hold your hand video-wise.
I think this would be a great Christmas gift for your BFF. Like, get one for you. Yeah. And then get one for your friend.
Y'all can do it together. Y'all can really, because of the vision board part is arts and crafts. I will not be providing your arts and crafts supplies, but I will tell you what to go get. Right? We're trying to put those in, okay?
Yes.
But yeah, like, everybody does those vision boards, and it's like you walking into the vision board meeting and you try to do that in an hour. Like, that's a process. So by the time you're doing the vision board with us, it may be February, but
right,
the vision will be clear.
Right. Like, look, ladies, and gentlemen, because let me not leave out the guys, because I do have some guys that follow me. This is an amazing tool. And at that price, it's the gift that will keep on giving when you give it to someone. You mean, like, we're putting those of us that are business owners, we already in the last quarter. You should already be making your projections for your next year and creating your personal development and growth plans. Put this in there. And if we don't, most of us do have like a little portion of time and finances that we set aside for personal development. 49.
Can't
beat that with a bat.
That came from my spirit. I was like, "Ooh, okay, all right, Lord, I will listen."
Receive your spirit.
Yes, but yeah, I believe in it that much that I want it to be accessible. Like I was saying about, just how my practice is, because once enough people get it, they'll get it, and then it can help more people, and that's all I want to do, is be able to help more people.
Awesome. Look, I have the link in the show notes, so you want to make sure that you check the show notes, get Tiffany's contact information. But for those of you that like to hear things, Tiffany, please tell everybody where they can connect with you and learn more about On Epiphany Lane.
The easiest way is to go to www.onepiphany.com. That's ONEPIPHANYLANE.com. There's all of my social media links are there. There's a link to On Epiphany Lane Journeys, which is the name of my course website. If you're in Texas or you're looking for therapy, you can get on the wait list, because I am hiring new clinicians to join my practice so that you can get that therapeutic need met. We do take insurance, and you can also just stay in touch with what I'm doing on social media, because I try my best to stay in these social media streets as much as I need to. Show them
right. Right.
Yes.
Well, listen, guys, you've heard the contact information, and all of that will be in the show notes. So check your show notes. Connect with Tiffany on all forms of social media. Check out our website. You don't want to miss this $49 deal on her new course, and it is definitely it's, as she's talked about it today, it is worth 10 times more than that. And so you don't want to miss your opportunity to get such a great tool at great value. It truly will be the gift that will keep on giving for those of us that are entrepreneurs, as well, even for those that aren't entrepreneurs, but just want to continue to learn and grow and progress in life. Pathway to purpose. It's amazing. It says what it says. So make sure you connect with her, get the course, learn more about it. And Tiffany, I keep wanting to say Dr. Tiffany. Is that in your future?
People keep trying to put that on me.
Dr. Tiffany, yes. Come on. You have no idea how many times during this conversation that has almost come out my mouth, and I'm just going to put it out there.
It's the Lord's like, when are you going to listen? I'm like, I'm waiting. You got to say something else besides that. Okay.
Dr. Tiffany.
One day.
It has been such a pleasure having you on the podcast today, and I'm absolutely will be reaching out to you for a part 2.
All right.
We're going to have to get you on the live in one of our live stream community, because now that community is amazing and the engagement is fabulous. So we'll have a great time.
I'm ready anytime.
Awesome. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another amazing episode of LaQuita's Toolbox. It has been a pleasure going down Epiphany Lane on today. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you all for the returning listeners. And if you are a new listener, we appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy day to tune in and listen. Please hit that subscribe button, like, follow, share, and leave a comment on your favorite podcast listening platform. Until next time, I'm LaQuita Monley. You guys be blessed and have a fabulous rest of your day.